Good evening and welcome to In the Know 360, show hosted by me, Annette, the warm hearted warrior diva. Our show gives you insights on the journeys of high achieving business owners and music artists who share with our audience the importance of building a strong community of like minded individuals on the road to greater success. This evening show is a collaboration between In the Know 360 and Youssef Kobach, also known as YoYo. YoYo was born in Pickens, South Carolina, but raised in Syria. His experience caused him to mature quickly. Music strengthened him while living in an abusive environment. At the age of 9 years old, he moved back to South Carolina. As Arabic, his native language, he felt like an outcast, and music became a therapeutic outlet to him. Yo he listened to Christian rock music, specifically to an artist by the name of Skillet. After he became comfortable learning the English lyrics, he then started listening to up and coming rappers, which included B.O.B, Lil Wayne, Kanye, Drake, and Eminem. In addition to listening to these rappers, he also likes Biggie, Nas, which I love too, and Rakim. Uh, Rap music helped strengthen his speaking abilities and inspired him to write his own lyrics to further understand himself. Lil Wayne taught him to encourage himself. Drake taught him to take care of himself. And B.O.B taught him creativity, while Kanye taught him it was okay to be different. I love Kanye, by the way. And his motto is to speak out and speak up for yourself in order for others when making music. Check out his latest tracks, Better Who I Am, Deep Sleep, and more available on YouTube and Spotify. Welcome, Yo Yo. Thank you for joining me this evening.
It's an honor. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on and being able to speak more and in depth with somebody who's willing to, chat it up. So I appreciate it.
Very welcome, and thank you so much. We are honored as well. And with that being said, we have several questions for you this evening. And the first question is you mentioned you struggled initially with learning English and listening to rap music helped you improve your speaking. Did you write out your lyrics to the rap songs and look up words as you didn't know that you didn't know?
I did a little of both. I feel like writing my own helped the most,
Uh huh.
but I more so just found words in music that made me just want to pick out those words and just look into those words and maybe be able to implement them into my own, my own writing and being able to do it in a way where it's clinical and then get better and better at it at the same time because, you know, um, just developing as an artist, that's what it took for me, especially when English was my second language.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to catch up with the people who have such a huge amount of vocabulary words that they can use at once and be able to construct that into a verse. And so I wanted to
Mm,
be able to be one of those artists.
mm. Wow, that's very good as far as like correlating and parallel with the language of English and your native language as well. I'm sure there was some nuances when it comes
Hmm.
to wordplay. With that being said, what are some of the trials and tribulations you faced during your journey in becoming a music artist? And what encourages you to keep going despite the obstacles?
Hmm. Well, I feel like the journey of becoming an artist is already hard, right? For everybody, really. It's I don't think it's
Right.
ever. I don't think it's fair to say that everybody or anybody has ever really gotten an easy straight path when it comes to music. So I know there's like trials and tribulations that every artist, and I'm willing to um take those trials and tribulations because I know they're coming. And I think that's the best thing is to be prepared for that. So, while I do feel like we all have our own trials and tribulations, I do feel like there are different ways we have to
Mm,
face it. And the way I had to face it was growing up in a town that really looked down on rap music and forming those relationships, especially my father,
mm,
who came from this town, who, you know, formed these relationships with people who don't really like rap music. And
mm,
when they met me or their kids met me at school, and they heard that I rapped, it was kind of like they looked down on it as like a
mm,
sinful thing. So it was kind of like when you're in a Bible Belt and you're trying to become this rapper and try to speak your mind. Because I grew up on, like I said, Lil Wayne and Eminem and Kanye and Drake. They were taking over the game at that time, and you're trying to listen to that and then try to implement it on your own and
mm,
then try to reflect it out. And there's a lot of people who don't accept that kind of music. So I think the biggest trial and tribulation that I had to face becoming an artist was being able to tune them out and be able to do
mhm.
what I wanted to do because I love making music, rap music, because it was therapeutic in many ways, not just emotionally speaking, but also verbally speaking. So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing I had to face was just people's bullshit. Excuse my
Yeah,
language.
it's all good. Hey, you got to express yourself here.
Yeah.
I definitely commend you on doing that, especially standing up for yourself and what your beliefs are. We all have different beliefs, and sometimes we feel hindered because of what people might say or think about us. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
With that being said, did your childhood experiences impact your music style?
I was always big on making hooks and
Okay.
make sure the production and the hook was catchy and timeless because I grew up on like B.O.B. I think was doing it the best at that time. With I'll be and this guy, all that stuff, and he was just like mainstream to the point where it was
Mm,
like you can't listen to that and not like it. You have to like it. So I grew up
right.
in that kind of music, and as a kid, I wanted to just open up a dictionary, find an interesting word, and just
Mm.
make it into a hook, and just have a good beat
Mm,
behind it, and just make it catchy to where people can play it, and then have the hook stuck in their head. And I didn't really
right.
start taking verses seriously until I started listening more of Eminem and Lil Wayne, how they were doing it. So that's when I started taking verses seriously. But before that, I feel like my hook, my mind being so attached on making that catchy hook, I had
Right.
to get that catchy hook made.
Right. Right. And I believe one of the rap artists, like for instance Ti, he always comes up with the elaborate word, right? When he
Yeah,
puts
yeah.
in his. So
It's very advantageous when you do that. I feel like, you know.
that's so dope. Yeah, I love
Mhm.
it. I love words too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially when you don't know what the word means. One time I made a song when I was a kid, and it was just like I didn't know how the word was used in what context because I
uh-huh.
just didn't understand the word, and I was using it in a hook, and then somebody had to stop me and say, "Yo, like, you're not really using that word in the right context. I think you're saying this," and it changed the whole meaning of what I was trying to say. And I was like, "Oh," and so I had to learn what that word meant, and then I was like, "Okay, well, I gotta change that then." But yeah, yeah, I do. I love words as well.
That's so cool. Yeah, wordplay is fun.
Yeah.
Um, if you had three choices of artists to open up a show for, who would they be?
They have to be alive.
No,
They
it's
don't have to
fine.
be alive. Okay. Um, I'm gonna say Eminem and Lil Wayne. I think that's the two obvious, but I think Michael Jackson as well. I wouldn't mind opening for him. Yeah, I wanna. I want. I think he's one of the greatest musicians to ever do it. But definitely Eminem and Lil Wayne. And if I had to pick another one that's alive right now, I'd probably say Drake maybe.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, there's a lot of artists on my mind that I would love to open up for, but those three in my mind for sure, 100%.
Wow. Yeah, most definitely. Well, they have the holograms as well to um, showcase with.
hmm
So that's.
Nas is another one. I think Nas is still doing it, so I'd love to. Yeah, Nas for sure, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Nas.
Mhm.
Most definitely.
Mhm.
And which mainstream and underground music artists would you like to collaborate with the most?
How underground are we talking here? Because I can go
As
underground.
oh, I didn't know there was an underground.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think there's levels. You know, if we're talking about like underground, like Hobson, or we're talking about
Uh-huh.
underground, like the artists that I work with, that I know personally on Instagram and stuff,
Okay.
uh, and the ones I met, I think that's underground or up and coming. So, I think Devin Elijah is my favorite artist to work with, really.
Mm.
Um, and if you don't know who Devin Elijah is, he's the one who sang the hook on "Who I Am." Um,
Oh, okay.
so I think he's very creative, and he took me by surprise the way that song was made, and so I feel like that's something that I respect a lot and I take into high regards, and so I definitely love working with Devin Elijah for sure, 100%.
Nice. Shout out to Devin. Okay.
Mhm.
And your song, as you said, Who I Am, is about being unapologetic about your beliefs, dreams, and goals. What was your inspiration for this song?
Um, I think it's a correlation of a lot of things. I feel like I wanted to touch on my belief. Like, if I wanted to release, so when I released the Renaissance LP, I wasn't really, I was very hesitant,
Uh-huh.
and you can hear that in my delivery. You can hear in
Mm,
my delivery, I wasn't really confident in what I was saying. The way I released it, I didn't really have a market around it. And that was
mhm,
because I was so scared about what people around me were going to think that if they heard that I make rap music, like, oh my gosh, he makes rap music. That's weird, And I was so scared about that I was like, I released it, and you could kind of tell I kind of like it's like kind of like slipping a paper. I didn't really have any plan, I was just like, oh, release this thing, And so
uh-huh.
I released it, and the delivery was off, the structure
Mm,
was off, and the way I did everything, I wasn't really proud of it. So I
mm,
wanted to restart. And so when I wanted to restart, I was like, oh, you know what? The first thing I want to do is introduce myself, and I want to
mhm.
introduce myself. I want to let people know, you know what? Fuck it. I want to be passionate about who I am. So I
Right.
want to let people know who I am. And so part of telling people who you are is telling them what you believe in and what you know and what you see and
Mhm,
what you've been through and how to react to it and what it is that the problem is in the world that you
mhm,
see or in this country specifically, that you see going on that you want to call out, and so I want what's my debut song, because regardless of the fact that I released the album, I felt like that wasn't a proper debut. So I
mm,
released Who I Am, and it basically was just an accumulation of how I felt about the people around me at the time, and how I experienced a lot of minorities not sticking together, and
mhm,
how I seen a lot of division within people when it came to people in the poverty communities that were
mhm,
struggling with drug abuse and all that stuff, and people
mm,
not talking about it enough, and then religion being conflated with other people's beliefs and how it can infringe on other people's freedom to be able to love who they want to love or be who they want to be, and not judging somebody based off of the skin color, because I grew up in a town where that was a big deal, but that was a big thing
mhm,
where I had people like me and special people in the black community had to deal with. So I felt like I had to say something about it. And the cool thing about it was, like I said, with Devin, he had to struggle with not knowing who he was, not being able to
mhm.
be accepted. And then I was like, well, I did my verses, and I
Right.
think the perfect person to do the song with is somebody like Devin, who now was taking pride on who he is and
Mhm,
is assertive of it and is going to talk about whatever it is he wants to talk about. And he came in and he surprised me really, because I didn't even know that's what he was, everything he said, I didn't know that was what he was going to say, but he did his thing, and he did it great. He nailed it. So that's what that's why I felt like I had to do it. That's what I felt like I had to introduce. And I think
mhm,
that nobody else would have done it better than Devin. I feel like Devin knew the best to do it. Um, and so when I did it there, I felt like I had something to say and I wanted to say it.
mhm. Wow. Yeah. definitely helps with I mean, when you first started the album or the song, I'm sure that the raw footage also helped you to reflect and to fine tune it. I mean,
Mhm,
we have to start somewhere, so I wouldn't take it as a bad thing. I would
mhm,
take it as a learning experience,
mhm,
and helping you to, over the course of the years in your music career, help implement
mhm,
your
mhm.
way of music. But that's wonderful. Wow. Um,
I think the biggest thing is just I want to embrace it. So I wanted people to see my evolving as an
yeah,
artist. So I wanted to keep my older stuff and like just keep it, embrace it.
yeah,
You released it. This is your footsteps, and I let people know what you've done. So that's the
hmm,
big thing. I feel like.
yeah, most definitely. I mean, you can pretty much take that music and do so many things with it. I mean, even in educating, breaking it down to little excerpts to help people.
Hmm.
So definitely, or like a hook, right? And
Yeah,
then just like a, yeah, just like a hook.
the word plays. Yeah,
Right,
playing with
right,
the
right.
word.
So, joining a community of like minded individuals is very important in any career pursuit. Are you a part of any community of music artists?
I feel like being an independent artist, it does get lonely. Um,
Yeah.
so I've here's the one thing. If I had to complain about the independent artist world,
Hmm.
and I'm glad I'm able to do this now because I felt like it's something I want to touch on for sure. It's a lot of people don't know the struggle of being an independent artist, and they think they're the only one struggling. And
Mm,
it's like, as a community of independent artists, why are we not getting together and making music and trying to push each other? You know,
right,
instead of like trying to make it about me, 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 me. Why not us, 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 us?
right.
And it's too much of this separation stuff that's going on. Like I've reached out to so many independent artists that I was like, hey, let's make a song. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, send it to my agent or send it to this email. And it's like I sent it there and I'd send them 2 tracks and it's like no response whatsoever. It's like, why do you make it such an onerous process for people to make? Why do you make it an onerous process for people, for independent artists to make music with other independent artists?
Hmm.
It's unnecessary. And I felt
Right.
like at that point I had to realize that you can't really change that, right?
Hmm.
So I had to build my own community through networking and talking to people. And I'm into acting as well. So when I went to North Carolina and we were doing a showcase, I
Hmm.
met Devin. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like that helped, you know uh, with my ability to be able to make music at the same time,
Right.
share it with somebody who's as talented as Devin. And I have somebody else, so many other artists that I'm working with that haven't even released their stuff. And I'm
Oh, wow.
like, dude, when you release your stuff, it's gonna hit the charts. And
Right.
they're kind of like, wait, it's actually pretty smart though. They're waiting for me to make the mistakes so they don't make the same mistakes. It's pretty cool, actually. I feel like it's an honor for me to be able to go through those trials, and then, if I get somewhere, I'm able to point them in that same
Uh,
direction about, yeah, hey, release your music this way. There's
right.
like so much stuff. It's like you can manifest it, and that song
Hmm.
or that song is gonna make it, or that song or that song people are gonna love. And it's like
Hmm.
unreleased stuff. It's like you're defining your own fate. You know what it is that's gonna happen, but you're just waiting. Now it's like the waiting game. So I just
Right.
feel like just building a following is hard, and as independent artists, we do need to get together and be a little more unifying. As independent artists.
Right. No, I think you're providing mentorship and insights to other up and coming music artists, and unfortunately, the ego, being human being, takes precedence sometimes, and we have to. I think for people that see the light, that want to help others, the glory, right? Uh, Everything is going to manifest anyway. For
Hmm.
those that have a heart, a heart of gold like you, Yo-Yo, you will
Thank you.
see it. You will see it 20 fold. So I wouldn't even worry about if the person wants to collaborate or not. It that you're going to find your tribe, and that's how I feel like in manifestation. People are going to come to you, like-minded
Mhm,
people. That's what I've been seeing too through the years of or
mhm,
almost 2 years
mhm,
of doing this.
mhm,
People are going to come to you
mhm,
and wanting to spread the light, right, and spread the
mhm.
joy and the happiness. Because I mean, that's why I started this, because I want to show love and help music artists and help up and coming entrepreneurs, and that's what it's about. It's
Yeah,
about
I mean,
shows.
and that's the thing. Like, I gotta tip my hat to that because to me, I see how hard you're working and how you were able to just get me on here and be like, hey, you know what? I listened to your song. Come on here. Like, that's the stuff that I'm talking about. It's just being so proactive to the point where your intention is not just a you. It's not just the war is not just with you. It's with the whole community. You know.
Hmm.
So you're battling with the community, and you're trying to prevail and get to a level where you've built this community that's now become this big community, and y'all can share like ideas or try to, hey, you know what? I didn't really like that, but you maybe you do this, and then you give each other some sort of constructive criticism or being there for each other as far as promotion goes, and making more songs together, or
Hmm.
you know, just having those community. I feel like it can happen. I feel like people just make it harder than what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
try to stick to themselves, and that's when it becomes like, well, you can make this big, but you're
right.
really making it harder for yourself when it's like you're hiding behind this rock and you're expecting to have this huge following, but you're not
Yeah,
expanding. You're not taking other people under your wing, or you're not going under other people's wings. It's like you said, ego plays into it a lot,
yeah,
and things can happen. Things are special in music. That's what makes music music. It's so
yeah,
special, right? And it can be so special if you make it special, but it can be
right.
hard if you make it hard, you know? And that's, I
Yeah.
think we're just making it harder than what it is, really.
Most definitely. Yeah, ego, and then also people that have been hurt, or have been undermined, right?
Hmm.
So you have that fear of, well, I have my music. I don't want anyone to listen to it because how about if they steal it? So it's that whole scarcity mindset. To
Hmm.
me, is just me talking, my personal opinion.
Hmm.
But I feel like if you have gems to drop, right? Insights to drop, why not just drop them? And then you'll always come up with other things, right? So
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
it's like a flow, energy flow. So you
Yeah.
have so much input into something, and then you give that insight or that gem, uh, and not without that scarcity mindset, right? So like you're giving all these gems, but you know that you're gonna have more gems come through.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's
Um,
just my mind, like
yeah, 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 yeah. And you know what? I feel like, you know, part of that is insecurity, and because I've been in there. I've been there. You know, it's like you have all these songs, and I still make this song. I still make new songs till this day. You know,
Right.
and in your head you're thinking, okay, there's a certain substance in the song that I feel like I won't be able to recreate as good as this, and if I do recreate it, it's gonna not be as special, right? So you want to make the most of this track and be able to release it and push it and be able to do something with it. Because if you're an upcoming artist, nobody's gonna be listening to your album. And I think that's the problem that I had was I thought, oh, you know what, if I release
Mm,
my album and people can just listen to the album, I'll be somewhere. You know, I'll be where I want to be. But it's like no, there's much more to it, and you have to give them songs, and you have to
mhm,
have content within those songs and have something you're saying and then be able to explain it and articulate it in a way where it's understandable, or if it's not understandable, but at least it's something they can hear and listen to. So that's the thing, like I want to release all my music, but it's like if I release all my music right now, is it gonna get the attention that it is it gonna get? Is it gonna get where I
mhm,
want it to get? Is it
mhm,
gonna be a substance I can bring up again? Or because I'm like the opposite of a person who wants to repeat himself. I don't like doing that. I want to do it
mhm.
once, or do it twice, or do it three times, and then after that, it's like I don't want to repeat that because it's like I want to be showing my versatility to people and being able to bring new shit to the table without
Right.
being repetitive and redundant about what I'm saying we're doing, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely get that. I think sometimes we block ourselves, right? And sometimes we get in this, like, I don't know if you've heard boiling the ocean. Like, we can't boil the ocean. It's kind of like writing a dissertation for a PhD. So you can't boil the ocean, but you
Hmm.
have to, like, so you have to release it, meaning, come back to your mindset of, hey, just leave it up to the universe
Right.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
make
Yeah.
it make it happen.
I think some people try to go mainstream, but I don't know. It's a little hard to go mainstream now. If you're just releasing it and not doing anything on it, you can't just sit on it. Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
hard to go mainstream now because other
yeah.
people are doing TikToks, they're doing Instagram reels, they're trying to become viral, but you just releasing it and sitting on it. You're kind of being a little unrealistic there. Like, oh, I'm just gonna release it and sit on it. It's like, no, you gotta invest some sort of money. You gotta invest some sort of time and energy in promoting it, and
Hmm.
the money has to go the right way, you know. So there's that business side of it.
Oh yeah. So a lot of things that it's like a domino effect, but I think that if you know intuitively like you described, right, create this music and release it, and you just put that faith in because you had the energy and everything put dedicated into it, you just know, and it's okay. Like I think for instance, if it doesn't hit like the billboard, right, if it doesn't hit the billboard, you know that there's something else greater. You understand what I mean?
Mm,
Like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
something
yeah.
else greater for you that's going to be released soon. And I think people just get, it's like writer's block. They get
I
like, okay, I
understand.
gotta just put something out there. But it's those people that actually just go ahead and um, wait, like you said, keep creating, and then there's a certain time where, hey, I'm back,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. And you know what? You know what? Here's the thing, right? If I didn't do that, because I did that, right? I released my Renaissance LP, and then there was like this hiatus. I'm not gonna say it was like a year. I was gonna say probably like 3 or 4 months, where it was like I didn't release anything, but I kept semi promoting it because, like I said, I was hesitant. And when I came back with Who I Am, I felt like that. If you compared my last album with the way I was rapping on Who I Am and the production level day and night, two different
Uh,
things, right?
mm,
But if I didn't stop
mhm.
and just work on myself and just work
Right.
on becoming a better artist, becoming a better lyricist, knowing myself a little more, you know, freestyling for hours and hours and hours, writing for hours and hours and hours, which is what I was doing, and trying to build that, you know, in your head and ingrain it, and then come back. If I didn't do that, I don't think Who I Am would have been as at the way a milestone for me, right?
Mhm.
But the cool thing about it now is I've took a little bit more of a hiatus while I'm pushing Who I Am, and I've gotten even better. And now I'm like, I feel like Who I Am is like my lowest, you know, because of how much better I've gotten and the
Mhm.
unreleased stuff that I have on that I'm sitting on. I'm like, I'm ready to release this, but it's like right now, like be a little more patient. Maybe I make something even better than that, you know. It's like it gets better and better and better. You're raising the standards higher and higher and higher as an artist. So when that's going on, it's hard for you to know when to release it. It's like, do I even want to release this because I feel like I can do better than that? And then when I do better than that,
Mhm.
well, I feel like I can do better than that. And I feel, well, I can do better than that, you know? It's like so on and so forth. So it's like a mental battle that you're trying to go get into with yourself because you don't think sometimes people are like, oh, it's not lyrical enough. Oh, it's too lyrical. Oh, it's not, you know, um, I can't hear what you're saying. Oh, you're yelling. You know, it's like, damn. So you got to make sure that it's like perfect, not just to you, to the person who doesn't listen to that kind of music. And then
Mm.
when you get out of that, then you become, oh, okay, um, you know, just release it, you know, and you don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe people like that, but they don't like that. And then whatever you thought they would like, they liked it. And you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So it's just a whole it's is deceptive. It's very unpredictable. You don't know what's gonna happen when you release a track. You don't know how people are gonna react, and
Right.
you know how it is when you're on the Take Kelly live reviews. It's
Right.
very it's very unpredictable on how people are going to react and the words they're going to use to describe your music. I know the first time I played Who I Am, people were like, "Oh, listen to what he's saying," all this stuff. And then the second time I played it on a whole different day, people were like, "Oh, what the hell is he saying?" I can't even understand what he's saying. Turn this off, stuff like that. So it was like two different reactions in two different
Mhm.
times, and it confuses the hell out of you. Like, what is going on? It's like,
Yeah.
you know. So and the other stuff I've presented on the Take Kelly live reviews that haven't really gotten the best reviews, but it's like that's not a dead end.
Right.
It's like there's something there that's getting people. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe it's not for that audience. Maybe it's not for that demographic. But then you
Right.
go and you release it, and it's like, oh, well, I'm getting a very good reception here,
Mhm.
but I didn't get a
Mhm.
good reception here. So it's like you kind of have to gamble a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that intuition plays a role. I think that stepping away, like you said, plays a role in your manifesting this music or the hook or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, though, it's really up to you, right? I mean, your intuition will definitely play a role, and I always trust my intuition when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to a lot of different things like the vibe, right? Because anybody can tell you anything, but at the end of the day, you're the decision maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just gotta step out there and let it go, let it rip, and see
Mm-hmm.
what happens. Because like I said, there's you can do so many algorithms or trend analysis, but at the end of the day, people that like your music are gonna like your music.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 absolutely, and that's what it is. I feel like sometimes we try to, and I think I see this a lot in I have a lot of brothers and I have a sister too, so I see this in my siblings too. It's like it's hard because we want to satisfy the people that aren't satisfied. But the people who are satisfied were too busy not paying attention to that. And so it kind of like droughts our and clouds our judgment and decision making skills because now we're like, oh, well, the lyricists of this game and the people who look to the lyricism are not
Mhm.
respecting the lyricism. So it's like
Right.
now I have to cater to that audience, but then the people who are like, "Oh man, I just want, man, this doesn't hit right." I want something that hits right. He's rapping too much. It's like now, I was like, I want to cater for that because that's I grew up wanting to cater to. So it's
Mm.
a game where you're trying to cater to. It's like me as an artist trying to figure out, okay, do I want to be this lyricist or do I want to be this mainstream rapper or do I want to be both? It's like, but if I am both, how do I present that in a way where it's like not coming off as corny or something that's already been done. So it's like that's why I feel like as an independent artist it's very hard to do
Mhm.
a lot of things that you feel like is new or
Mhm.
timeless in a way, because
Mhm.
you are battling with that, and I'm not looking to be independent forever, but it is tough for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you just be yo-yo, and
Right.
that's at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned going back to the community of music artists. You support each other by going. Do you do like collab with events, like shows or something?
So I haven't done many shows.
Okay.
I went to I'll tell you this one time I went to a club in Atlanta
Hmm.
and they had us do a show. It's like, oh, if you have the best performance, you'll win like 20,000. And it was like a club,
Wow. Uh huh.
and it was like the most strenuous thing I've ever had to go through, and I don't think I'll ever do it again because it was like
Oh wow.
everybody there was performing, and I'm not like a nightclub guy. I don't smoke, I don't drink, so it's like I was there just solely just to perform, and then you had to wait for people to present like who won, all this stuff.
Hmm.
I was like, well, I feel like I did a good performance. I have to stay until everybody's done performing. But then you look at a lot of people performing, it's like so many people. It's like, oh well, now I have to stay here till like 6 in the morning to find out if I'm the winner.
Oh
So it's
wow.
stuff like that, trusting where you're gonna perform, and I didn't have that. I didn't experience that there. So it took me a while for me to find out places I can perform and have a mini tour. And I actually love, like, I like that you bring that up, because I actually love if independent artists now got
Hmm.
together, the ones that you know who I'm talking about, the ones are in the Instagram community
Right.
who are trying, who I see are up and coming, you know, not to name any of them, but they know who I'm talking about. I feel like it's
Hmm.
cool if we were able to get together and try to do this big show and
Hmm.
try to have like a name attached to it, and then have people pay for the tickets and stuff like that. It give us a recognition, it give us the money and the ticket sales and all this stuff. But that's the stuff that I'm talking about. It's just like thinking outside the box and being able to do big things as the winner circle community. You have to be able to
Right.
do big things together. That's
Right.
how it is. That's how it's done. You might not be a fan of that music, but you're supporting. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
there is going to be a demographic that fucks with that. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to be able to understand that and
Hmm.
get together as a community.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's just a matter of finding your tribe. And if you go on our page, you'll see a whole bunch of different music artists that do collab, and they work together. Like the last folks that we interviewed was with in Colorado, and they, usually would have a few, or I think it was like a drummer, a DJ, two rap artists. They all collaborated together and did a show. So,
Hmm.
and it doesn't have to be an act like a rap artist. It could be like a drummer, like I said, or an instrumentalist or something of that sort, and you guys just team up. So
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
something to think about. But yeah, most definitely. I think the more you perform outside, the more experience you get, the more exposure you get at the end of the
Hmm.
day. That's what I've taken from interviewing other
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah. Performing is a big deal, and it's just hard to find it for sure and be able to get paid for it at a price
Right.
where it's worth doing it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree. Performing it is important for sure, 100%.
Yeah. So, what is the one important lesson that you've learned in working in the music business?
Yeah. There's a lot of lessons, but the biggest thing I feel like is staying true to your message,
Mhm.
just having something to say and being able to say it in a way where it's like different, you know. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've said what I've said, but it's like, can I say it in a different way where it's never been said in that way? Because ultimately, I feel like hip hop has always been created on that movement, or that being able to speak your mind in a way where people understand what you're saying and are able to take it and can take it and digest it.
Mm,
So I feel like the biggest lesson I learned was just being able to articulate yourself in a way where it just jives with people. Be able to articulate yourself, and just be you. I think that's the best thing I've learned throughout the whole process, for sure.
that's true.
Mm.
Very, very important. Um, and so, what's next for YoYo, and what message would you like to give your fans and up and coming artists?
Um, right now I got another release coming soon. It's so Who I Am is one part of the album, the side A of the album that I'm making,
Right.
and the next song that's coming is the second part of it. And so after I release that second one, I'll be releasing a whole EP, or a whole side A of the LP, um, and then do the same thing with side B, release two, and then release the whole side B. So I think that's what I'm looking to do right now, and then being able to uh, perform as well, like we were talking about. Hopefully somewhere in New York or maybe California. I've set up some places in California to go perform.
Nice.
So I am looking to have upcoming performances. Nothing is official as far as what I'm gonna release and where I'm gonna perform, as far as that goes. And if I had to give a message to upcoming artists, is just keep going and don't stop, because I feel like if you keep going, you're either going to get better or you're going to learn a lot from it to the point where it evolves your knowledge at a different level. But just stay strong, and you know, I think everybody is a soldier in their own way, so be able to just soldier through everything.
Most definitely. So, a few things that I've learned about Yo-Yo today is one, he's had a tough life growing up, had to struggle and overcome challenges in regards to different people in his community. Two, he's all for love, right? Love of music, love of helping others grow. And three, wants to build a community of like minded people, just like us at NNO 360, and helping each other, supporting each other, and not boiling the ocean water.
Right, right.
and,
Yeah,
and,
we don't
re-
want to do that.
and releasing his music album. And we're here to support you, Yo Yo, most definitely. And what we want to do, well, right now we are streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And later on, I will add this clip to our Apple Podcasts and
Mhm.
Spotify.
Right.
Um, and then you, I mean, for following you, we have the information on this feed. But is there any other places that you would like our viewers to look you up?
Uh, if it so if they're already following me on Spotify and Instagram, I don't think I have any other places. I go on Twitter. But you said you're putting it up on Twitter, so I don't think there's any other places I can think of the top of my head that would be that useful that I use.
Oh,
TikTok,
oh,
if they haven't followed me on TikTok, that's another
oh, okay,
one.
okay, cool. And so, hold tight, Yo Yo. I have some questions to ask you offline. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Yo Yo and NO 360. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.